up there, guys? It's Jugget82, and I'm going to talk about a movie that I just watched. I was on 2 by TV. If you don't know, guys, 2 by TV, you can get it on your game consoles as well as different type of streaming boxes. I have it on Ruko, and I watched Hellraiser Judgment. Hellraiser Judgment was released in 2018. It's a movie that, of course, is a continuation of the Hellraiser franchise, and it's the 10th movie in the series. For me, I watched it because literally I stumbled on it and I wanted to watch it. But this is like my first hand glance of review about what I saw. And I will have to say, I've seen every one of the Hellraiser movies. Literally every one. I've seen Hellraiser, Hellraiser 2, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, Hellraiser Bloodline, which really was kind of weird because it went to like space and shit. I saw Hellraiser Inferno. I saw Hellraiser Hellseeker as well as Hellraiser Deader, Hellraiser Hell Earth, Hell World, I mean, as well as Revelations, which was one of the movies that was released in 2011 that was not the character Pinhead was not played by played by Brad. I'm sorry, Doug Bradley. Uh, this one also is not the character Pinhead is not played by Doug Bradley. But what I'm going to say about this movie, for me in general, is just the fact that this movie was, to me, like I said, with a couple of other of Hellraiser movies, was not fucking good. I'm going to be real. I'm not going to sit there and sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, yeah, it's good parts. Well, this is one part that was kind of alright, but it wasn't like just like really connecting anything to the original movies. And when I say original movies, I'm talking about the first two movies. I enjoyed Hellraiser and Hellraiser 2. I saw those when I was a kid. Hellraiser 3 was alright. It wasn't like anything groundbreaking, but it still had a little connection to the first two movies. Hellraiser Bloodline was like what the fuck, they started just doing wild shit. It was out of space. It was, of course, the last theatrical release for the Hellraiser series. Then the rest of the movies were movies that were just eh. They had movies that literally were not even Hellraiser movies that were put together. They ended up throwing Pinhead in the movies because they wanted to make it seem like it was connected to Hellraiser. Because I guess Dimension Films wanted to keep that money. But overall, with this movie, it was like, be honest with you, I'm gonna be real, and I will just to let it be known. This movie had more of a connection with the movie that had. I'm trying to remember the actor. I might not remember him, connect him, but he was the one that was in one of the Hellraiser movies where he played the detective, and I think it was I think it was the one that came out in 2000. I'm not for sure. Basically, it follows the corrupt police detective played by Craig Schaefer as he discovers the puzzle box and so forth. Blah, blah, blah. But like that was the one which was dealing with him in Hellraiser Inferno. That's the one. Hellraiser Inferno, and I think this was just like that one. You had a detective, a police officer, whatever, which, if you wills, that was connected to some shit. Now, with this movie, also, I want you guys to know that the first fucking 13 minutes of this movie, you are watching, you think this is the movie, it's throwing the movie out. It's the intro, and it's not even a fucking main movie. After the 13 minutes of what you see, which are actually to me just, I mean, don't get me wrong, Hellraiser has always had weird, grotesque scenes. But I think these scenes in this movie were like just pushed a little bit in because they wanted to, I guess, get a little reaction from the audience watching it. So you have a guy who's literally a child murderer. That's a child murderer who confesses. And that's another thing about this movie also. The Cenobites in this movie, you have Cenobites that are like lawyers or like criminal defense attorneys, some stupid ass shit like that. I'm just gonna be real with you guys. Stupid, and I mean stupid ass shit. Where there are like criminally attorneys or some shit, and they're critiquing this guy in the movie about what he did wrong and what this that, and they pile up the paperwork for what he's done, his offenses and so forth. Then they have this other person who comes in and he starts basically it's the tears of the children. He puts the tears of the children on the paperwork and he starts eating the fucking paperwork. And then after that, here's where the grotesque part comes in. He starts throwing up the remnants of the paperwork, and then you have these three ladies who are naked, got their boobies out and shit, swallowing the shit. And then yeah, it starts to get grotesque as I'm speaking to you about it. And then the guy goes to the cleaner, who the cleaners are basically they're gonna skin him alive. They're gonna fuck him up. They're gonna do him like Frank from the first movie. They skin his shit up. They fuck his shit up. They clean him up real good. Fuck it. But and of course he's dead. Of course. But this is the thing about this movie. Like I said, it's kind of weird. It's comical in a sense also because in the first two movies, the Cenobites didn't give a fuck. They got in your ass regardless. It wasn't no lawyer judicial bullshit. It was just you're going to hell. That's it. You're going to be tortured. Pain is a pleasure. It's going to be this. What the fuck? This movie didn't do shit like that. They had a fucking judiciary system. A fucking judiciary system? Give me a fucking break. They literally changed what I ever thought a Hellraiser movie would be. With don't get me wrong, they did prosecution where they, but it was like in the fucking thing where they just basically didn't give a fuck. This movie literally has a motherfucking Cenobite with a suit on, and I literally fucking almost thought about fucking turning the fucking channel or changing off the fucking program I was watching and saying fuck that, I'm not watching this fucking movie. That's what I really thought when I fucking saw this movie. Cause ain't no way in hell you're gonna fucking have a Cenobite in a fucking suit. That being said, as the movie goes on, you have these two detectives that are investigating a crime scene about a serial killer, blah blah. It's remnants of Inferno because it's still connected like that, where somebody's investigating something. And then you have this other detective. She investigates guy. I'm not finna fucking name names because I fucking didn't even fucking try to even remember their names. But it's so fucking crazy the way this movie plays out. And it's a movie that's a sleeper movie because, like I said, when it comes to Hellraiser, one and two is going to always stick to me. Those movies were fucking. They had a message. They fucking reached to you. They made you fucking think about shit. They were fucking scary. Hellraiser 3 was a. Once it went to 4 and they were in outer space and shit, and the whole goddamn cube was a fucking spaceship, I fucking fell asleep. I literally fell asleep. The rest of the movie started changing so much that it literally just threw me off. But I still watched all the rest of the movies. I watched Inferno. I watched Hellworld. I watched all those rest of those movies. Even when they got rid of Doug Bradley as the original Pinhead, I still watched them. And of course, there's been just two movies where he's not been played as Pinhead. But the one thing I learned about, and don't get me wrong, the actor that actually, believe it or not, it's a couple of scenes in this movie where that actor that plays Pinhead has a fucking feel like Pinhead. That being said, that's not speaking too much because literally Pinhead is not really in this movie, period. You show a couple of scenes of him sitting down in a fucking chair talking. And when he finally does approach, he has barely 5 minutes of fucking screen time. And I feel like when you watch movies like this, especially Hellraiser, when you say the word Hellraiser, Pinhead is the main thing that jumps in your head. I'm just being real. When you sit there and think about Hellraiser, you think of Pinhead. He's just like Freddy. He's just like Jason. His whole aura is in those movies. And once again, he's not really like just predominantly shown. Some scenes in the movie they do when they do show him thoroughly, he kind of doesn't really feel like Pinhead. I remember in the original movies when Pinhead showed up, he had a presence. I'm talking about even in the first movie. They didn't even have him as cast as Pinhead in those first movies. Just said lead Cenobite, And when his presence was there, you knew what the fuck shit was going down. The words he said, pain is pleasure. And when he sat there and said, I will tear your soul apart. When he said that shit, man, that shit stuck. It fucking made you feel it. In this movie, he's a jerk off, really, because like literally at the end of the movie, you have this woman that comes in. She's like part of heaven and so forth. And that's another weird thing. Like literally, when you did the Hellraiser movies in the past, the Hellraiser movies were like deep, and they had that whole that mantra about them. They just had that feel. They scared the fuck out of you because you really fucking felt like this was hell. This was like just horror. And in these movies, like he's like, "Oh, don't fuck me up, please. Don't do me like that. No, 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 no. Come on, man. Be honest with yourself. You sit there and put a movie out like this, and like I said, this is probably the dimension they was probably trying to keep that damn copyright or keep that legal claim to the Hellraiser franchise for just putting another fucking movie out because they maybe was running out the whoop whoop and this and that. But this is just garbage. Garbage. I don't understand what's the point, what's the reasoning to put a movie out like this. And like I said, when I first saw the build up for this movie, and I remember seeing the trailer building up for this movie, and I thought this is going to be a rebirth or revamp of the Hellraiser. This is just like the fucking movies that came out before. In Hell, where you had a motherfucker that had fucking teens and shit at a party, and they were fucking like jamming and boo boo and all that bullshit. And then you find out that he's of course doing something with the fucking box, the puzzle box and shit. And then you had in Inferno a detective fucking investigating shit. When you find out at the end of the movie he's literally already been in hell and all this. In this movie, you have a detective who's fucking investigating some shit about a serial killer. But guess what? He's the fucking serial killer. That's the surprise. Yes, the fucking person that's investigating the shit with the other fucking partner, he's the fucking serial killer anyway. Yeah, I gave away the fucking ending. I don't give a fuck. Don't watch this fucking movie. This movie is not even worth your fucking time. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like I sat there and said, when it comes to Hellraiser movies, 1, 2, that's good. 3, I. The rest of these motherfucking movies just went fucking borderline bullshit. It went even more bullshit when they got rid of Doug Bradley. Because at the end of the day, it's not Hellraiser if it's not Doug Bradley in that movie. I'm sorry. And then also, just thinking about how they did the fucking this movie, like I said, it fucks my head up that how I watched this movie. And I was watching with my little cousin. Yeah, I was watching my cousin. But I watched the movie when I was a fucking kid also. So anyway, I'm watching the movie. And I'm saying to myself, as I'm seeing certain scenes, like, what the fuck was that? Why the fuck that even happened? Who the fuck, what? And I'm like literally just fucking just scratching my fucking head. Because I don't even understand what the fuck is going on. The movie played through and I was almost falling asleep on half the fucking movie because I really didn't understand what the fuck was going on. I thought to myself, this has nothing to do. And oh yeah, yes, they tortured the woman that's from heaven and whatnot from that the part where she sat there and said Jesus wept. Oh yeah, connected to the original movie. Don't do that shit. Give me a fucking break. Don't do that. Don't even try to connect this movie to the first fucking movie. First of all, just trying to put a line from the first movie and just put it in this movie just to make it have a connection. Give me a fucking break. Don't do that. This movie has nothing to do with the first two movies, period. Period. And like I sat there and said, with this movie, it can suck a dick. I'm being honest with you because I don't feel this movie had anything to do with it. It would be truly great if they fucking released a fucking Hellraiser movie that put this shit together. Literally did like they did with Halloween, where they literally just said, fuck all the other sequels and get back to the ground basis of the fucking movies, the fucking franchise itself. Because the Hellraiser series, as it relates to 1 and 2, was awesome. It was great. I fucking loved it when Uncle Frank and shit, and he was like, come to daddy, and all that stuff. That was good. You fucking put movie after movie, once you stop putting them in the theaters and shit, you start putting bullshit together so you can keep the fucking copyright or keep the fucking the title of Hellraiser and shit. And like I say, that's fucking sad. And then half the movies didn't even have anything to do with Hellraiser. You just threw Pinhead in the fucking movies just to make it feel like it was a Hellraiser movie. Give me a fucking break. I don't understand it. And with this movie, it's the same fucking process because it's not a Hellraiser movie. It's a fucking movie that could have been a movie by itself, a bullshit ass movie by itself, if you will, and that would have been it. Don't fucking put a movie together where it's literally just bullshit. This movie, Hellraiser Judgment, the judgment is guilty because at the end of the day, this movie has nothing to do with the fucking franchise. It's a fucking movie that's literally BS, bullshit, garbage, doesn't have any fucking feel to any of the other movies but in name. When it says Hellraiser Judgment, that's it. It's nothing. It's not a connection. It's not a feel for it or anything. And like I said, nobody really needs to like this movie or want to do it. It doesn't, like I said, doesn't feel Doug Bradley as Pinhead. Because, of course, he turned down the fucking role, the reprisal role. Production company refusal to allow him to read film scripts. That lets you know they didn't even want him to fucking read the script. He literally didn't want to do this because of the fact. And of course, it was released on DVD in February of 2018. This movie is garbage. It's another fucking movie where they wanted to just bleed what Hellraiser was. The original Hellraiser movie will always have a feel for me. The first two sequels will always have a feel for me. But this garbage is not even Hellraiser. I'm not going to even fucking feel like it's even a part of the Hellraiser franchise. 'Cause first of all, personally, it's just not connected. They try to do shit with the fucking puzzle box. They try to do shit with this and that. And that's with a bunch of those movies. But this movie don't do shit. I'm not for the fucking sit there and support a fucking movie that literally I would not watch again. It's like this movie with Hellworld. Hellworld to me, I'm gonna skip off for a little bit. Hellworld to me was like a what the fuck movie on the simple fact that it literally showed Pinhead for like 2 seconds in each scene. And then when you finally went to the fucking conclusion of the movie, you still scratched your head because you was like, what? And then you think to yourself, they knew they were already in the ground, and it's just like a whole lot of extra shit. With Inferno, once again, the cop and really Inferno and this movie are connected in a sense because they're like literally the same fucking movie, and it's no fucking ifs or buts about it. They're like the same fucking movie. Now I sit there and say like a bunch of these movies literally don't have connections with anything dealing with the original movie. They did bring one of the original actresses back for one of the movies, Hellseeker, but at the end of the day, that was not to me what really connected these movies. And even though they brought it back, it seems like it wasn't even connected to those movies. I'm sorry. I think with this movie especially, it's not as bad as the movie that came out prior to that, which was Revelations. I just feel like this movie is just garbage. I'm sorry. Hellraiser Judgment is a judgment of fuck that. Don't watch it because I feel like at the end of the day, it did a fuck you to the fans of the Hellraiser franchise, if you can call it a franchise. Because like I said, the first two movies were awesome. The rest of them, Hell on Earth. I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy that movie. That was the third one, but I thought it was okay. When it went to Bloodline, it started to kind of just sink away. And as it started to go to the, of course, I think Bloodline, like I said, was like the last theatrical release. When it started going to the rest of the movies, it started really just fucking changing what the movies were about. And it literally, to me, felt like they were just forcing movies out because they needed to keep that damn fucking copyright. They needed to keep that fucking title. They need to keep that license to the fucking franchise and all that shit. And all in all, like I said, I've watched every single Hellraiser movie to the date of this fucking video review being done. And to me, like I said, it's not, and I repeat, not worth your fucking earned R&E. And even if you were to try to get Netflix or whatever it's probably being screamed on. I would not fucking watch it. It's not good. Hellraiser Judgment is a judgment of guilty. I feel like it's garbage. It's bullshit. But like I said there and said, man, this is my fucking opinion. But I feel like at the end of the day, by me just knowing that I've watched all these Hellraiser movies, I can't fucking give this a fucking thumbs up. It's always the thumbs down for this because I feel it's garbage. If you want to see Hellraiser in its true form, watch Hellraiser 1 and 2. Personally, if you want to bust 3, you could bust 3 because it does still have a connection with the first 2 movies. But when it comes to the rest of them, fuck it. Don't watch them. I feel like at the end of the day, once it went to Bloodline, it was right there to borderline garbage. But yeah, this is Jugget82 signing off. You guys have a good one.